Live from Italia. I'm in Greece.
Finally made it to India.
Live from Spain.
I'm in Bali.
Live in Santorini, Greece.
From a beautiful, amazing Tulum.
Hey everyone, it is Amanda. I'm so happy to be here with you. Let's all take a moment to sit with ourselves, to tune in, to let our day go. Maybe you want to close your eyes and take some deep breaths in and put your hand on your heart and just be here now. Whatever's happened today, whatever's happened this week, whatever you're worried about, whatever's been plaguing you or bothering you, whatever you've been feeling stuck on or wondering about, we're going to let that fucking go. We're going to let it go today. And in our intention to let it go, we are trusting that it will be taken care of. It will be taken care of. How many of you know sometimes you can put your fingerprints all over something that was in the middle of being sorted out for you? Like God didn't forget you. Shit was being done behind the scenes, but we'll put our hands all over something and essentially get in our own way. And as deeply as I believe in inspired action, and as much as I do the damn thing all day long, there is something to taking your hands off and going, this will work out for my good and in my favor. There's no other way it could possibly be. And I'm not going to meddle in it for right now. I'm going to trust and know and believe, because that's my actual job anyway, right? So feeling the feelings of deep trust, feeling the feelings of your desired outcome or something even better coming through. How would you feel right now if you knew for sure that you got your desired outcome, but even better? If that was absolutely motherfucking guaranteed, how would you feel right now? So knowing, trusting, believing, standing firm, and remembering who the fuck you are. Coming into your body, coming into the present moment, releasing all the drama and all the bullshit, and knowing you are enough because you are always, always fucking are. Okay, breathing in feelings of I am enough, setting the intention to trust and know it's all working out for our good and in our favor. Come back into the room. Come back into the present moment, taking a moment to know for sure that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. You're exactly where you're supposed to be right now. And you've done exactly what you're supposed to do. And you will, for sure, 500 million%, be guided to your next steps. There's no way you can fuck it up. It's impossible. And you are destined for greatness. Okay, so now that we've settled on all of those things, if you have your eyes closed, you can open them. If you brought a beverage, you can drink it. Everyone do whatever you need to do right now. If you don't have a beverage, go grab a water, tea, whatever you need to get comfy with me for a while. Grab your journal or maybe your laptop to take notes on. So what are we starting with? How many of you guys saw what led to this live stream event even happening? Was anyone there on my Facebook the day I was like, and I have a hate group? I'm trying to think like how much of the story is actually beneficial. So what I want to say about that. So the details of what occurred with why there's a hate group I feel is really irrelevant, because we're not responsible for people's reasons for doing whatever they feel they need to do, right? Like the people who in this situation believe they're whistleblowers and truth tellers and they're exposing my spiritual fuckery or whatever the fuck, like that's their life. That's their cross they decided to bear. That's their, I believe, misguided action in the world right now. And it's none of my fucking business. What I'm responsible for is how I perceive it, what I do with it, how I use it for good, and how I categorize it in my own life, right? So we all have this option all the time. We can all tell victim stories. We can all, woe is me. Sometimes, this is an interesting dynamic. Have you guys ever felt like, I see this all the time. Sometimes we feel like we have to be in a victim story and we have to be the underdog in our own mind. And we have to believe that we're the person that it's so unlikely for the good thing to happen to, so we can then overcome. And then because we overcame, we now believe we're worthy of the success story. Does that make sense? But what if we were worthy of the success story all along? And don't get me wrong, I'm really, really good at taking any negative thing that happens online or in my life at all and monetizing it and creating a training around it and using it for good. I'm really, really, really good at that. But what if we didn't have to be the underdog, tell the victim story, think lowly of ourselves, do any kind of woe is me? What if we didn't have to have the abusive dynamic or the toxic dysfunctional situation to break out of something to let ourselves be great? What if we could just fucking be great, is my question for you. What if you could just fucking be great now because you decided? And don't get me wrong, we will always take any bad things that happen to us because we're human beings living life, and life sometimes hurts. We will always take all those things and use them for good, but there's kind of a misconception in our minds that the bad things have to happen to let ourselves have the good things. But what if we could just have the good things? You know? So I think we do that to ourselves, and through doing it to ourselves, we can put ourselves in a lot of torture, and it's a form of like self-manipulation. I have to convince myself to see this situation as me being the victim in some way, in some form, so I can now have a story of I overcame, so now I can view myself as enough or enough to receive. Does that make sense? Or whatever it is. Without having to go, because you guys have seen me do it. Do you remember when I released that training? And I love that training. It's one of my favorite things I've ever created. But the turning shit into gold training, it's excellent. I love what I did with it. It's amazing. But I took a situation where people were talking bad about me online, and then I taught a process of like forgiving and accepting and using it for good and all this stuff. And it's a great process, and I'm totally in love with it. But and I used it to rise up, but could I just have risen up anyway? And if we believe it takes drama or conflict or something to rise up, then we will create drama and conflict when we're ready to go to our next level, when we could have just chosen to go to our next level. We could just go to our next level. We don't have to manipulate it in our minds to convince ourselves that now we've suffered enough to become an overcomer and have a success story. A victim story is not required to have a success story, right? And I'm not opposed to any grief process around any abuse or neglect or real life shit any of us have gone through. Grieve what you have to grieve. I'm not saying deny your emotions. It's just the dynamic and the pattern I watch all the time from people where they create all of this stuff to now believe they're good enough. It's the exact same thing I've been saying for years about hard work. When we go, now I finally worked hard enough to be able to receive the money. Well, you could have received the money all along. You could have worked smarter in your business. You could have taken the path of least resistance. You could have had that one genius-inspired idea to receive money in your business now. But instead you thought you had to have a certain amount of hard work to be able to receive. It's just us not giving permission to ourselves to have what we want in whatever form and creating whatever it is we create. So now that we believe we can have the thing, but you actually always could have chosen into the thing. So when it comes to haters, what I've been saying all along is I get myself to a place of, and I'm going to rise up, and I'm going to rise above it all. And I'm going to get myself in a position where I'm not affected by what I've said before as ants on the ground. Because if I'm up here having an aerial view on the situation, all the nonsense and details and drama feels like ants on the ground, right? So I rise up. but there's still in that perspective of I have to rise up above it all, that there's something against me that I'm fighting against that I have to rise up above. But what if, hear me now, what if there wasn't actually anything to fight against? What if the battle was actually only in our minds? What if the fight and those against us was just something we perpetuated and made so much bigger and stronger in the way that we're seeing it? How many people know I could have gotten really discouraged around a hate group? The girl running the group said, who has dirt on Amanda Francis? It's time to come out in the open. Come out wherever you are, she says in her group. I have a screenshot. Like, I could take that as an attack. I could take that as being targeted. I could build it up into an energy where I don't feel safe online or in life, where I don't feel safe to share. I don't feel safe to be myself. I don't feel safe to keep going. I could have really got myself in a victim-y place and then had a whole lot to overcome and then had like I have risen above the haters. And there's nothing wrong with that. That was a great way to handle it for a long time. But I think my next level and my next step is, what if the fight isn't even real? What if the only fight and conflict and drama that can show up in my external world is only mirroring what's going on in my internal world? And if nothing in me believes that the fight or the drama is required, if nothing in me believes the fight or drama is required, and I just get to rise above, because I do, without any chaos, then would I attract hater situations that I didn't then have to react to? And don't get me wrong, there's been many times where my using this for good was teaching on it, training on it, monetizing it, creating a course around it. There's been many times where that was the best inspired action, and I'm proud of it, and I'll continue to sell those things because the content is so good around like energetic boundaries and around like handling your fears of what people think of you. Like, the content I've created in this subject is excellent, but do I want to go through the next 30 years of my career or longer? Do I want to go through my career thinking that I have to create another hater situation to go to my next level? No. Because can you think of how big I could blow this up? Next year it's Star Magazine, and in 5 years it's on TMZ, and Amanda has to create hater situations so she can land the TV show. It's ridiculous. You know what I mean? If that's a pattern I have within me, then I get to look at the root and the core of that pattern and break that thing open. Hence my new, I don't know if I'm going to call it a conclusion, my new point of pondering that's going to become a clear conclusion as I continue to work on it is, what if the fight was never real? And if I hadn't needed the fight to rise up so many times, would have I continued to create the fights? Maybe not. Well, let me tell you a little of my history and stories. Like, lower middle class family in Sand Springs, Oklahoma. Like, my mom didn't work, didn't make her own money, all these things. So I like have to be this woman who can make her own money. Like, I have to be this woman that can create something of herself and be unlimited by money, because the biggest limitation my entire life was money, and I have to break all that open. And while I was digging into all of this today, I was like, but I don't have to have a different story than my mom's story to be great. Hold on, I wrote this down. I'm butchering it a little bit right now. It came to me in a wave of, I just said the same thing I've already said. I didn't write the details. I have told a victim story to allow a success story. So I was telling a victim story around where I came from and what I had to overcome to get here to make it a success story. But the truth that I was pondering today is, what if it's a success story just because it is, just because I did it? Not because it was unlikely, not because I had a lot to overcome, but just because I chose into it. Like, what? Does this make sense? Like, what if there never had to be a story about how hard it was for me to view myself as a success? What if I just got to be a success? Because I do. Is this resonating with people? So my point being here, there's been many times in my life where I walked away from the thing. So like, I leave, the religious world I came from, and then I had to like tell stories about how those religious people were bad. and, you know, categorize it as a cult and make, and it is a cult, but make it all these things. So now I can overcome the cult. But I could have just left the cult, not told negative stories about anyone, not made myself a victim, still healed from the cult, and still rose up. Once again, the struggle maybe wasn't required. What if the struggle wasn't required in all the things I've chosen to struggle around my entire life? This is what I was pondering today, getting ready for this live stream. Yes, I had to have a reason, but what if we never made it a reason? What if our decision and our desire was always enough of a reason? You guys know, who've been listening to me for a long time, I've been saying this all along, your desire is enough of a reason to have it. But why do we have to manipulate ourselves into believing that now I get to have it because now I've overcome enough? Would you have pushed as hard? Well, that's the things we tell ourselves. We tell ourselves, I'm a fighter, I'm a pusher, I'm an overcomer. We tell ourselves those things, but I could have chosen to be those things because that's actually who I am. It's who I was always going to be. I think it's an idea that we had to make it hard to then have it. Just an idea. Would you have desired it as much? I don't know. I'm not saying that I could have changed the environment I came from. I couldn't have changed that. I'm saying my perception of it created a struggle that wasn't real. My perception of it, right? Just like my perception of the haters right now can create a struggle that is not real. Or my perception of the haters can create I don't care what you fucking do in your Facebook group. Does that make sense? It's just my perception of all these things. My perception of it, my perception of where I came from, my perception of all the things I've had to overcome and walk away from, my perception of them created the struggle. And what if the struggle was putting myself through unnecessary torture? Just something to ponder as we choose to rise up into all the things. How many of you know humans are great at making it more difficult than it needs to be? And the blaming the people, right? Like the person running this group, if I put a lot of blame on her and hate on her and focus on her as the problem, how would that serve me, right? But it wouldn't. It wouldn't actually serve me. Okay, I want to talk about rising up. What about when you still feel stuck in the struggle? Well, that's the whole thing we're saying right now. So if the struggle wasn't real, and if the struggle was stories that you had chosen to believe in, and the struggle was never real, then rising up wouldn't be so hard, right? So the work would be to look at if you made a list of why do I have to struggle now, it's probably, I imagine, and I don't want to like oversimplify all of our real human experiences, but as a general idea, if you made a list of all the reasons that you're stuck in the struggle and looked at what kind of power you're giving to those ideas, there would probably more than likely be opportunities to shift those ideas into life, always working in your favor, always coming together for your good. You always have the entire universe and all forces for good on your side, and it gets to work out in flow, in your favor, with more grace and ease than you could have imagined. I'm not saying there isn't value in all of our struggles. I'm just saying we've maybe suffered more than was ever required by our own perception. That's what I'm saying. So for me, it's the energy for this whole time, even when I was believing the haters like had power and they were like freaking me out. When I would feel and I don't really feel that now, but when I would feel the feelings of rising up, when I'd feel the feelings of elevating, I would just be like, and I'm going to my next level, and I'm doing the thing, and I'm moving onward, and I'm reaching more people, and I'm creating better content, and I'm obviously going to make more money as a byproduct of just all of this all the time. That's like something I believe, one of my core beliefs is I make more and more money all the time just because I do. That's going to be the trajectory of my business forever. And I will always be given the steps to help that to be true, but that just gets to be true, right? So the vibration of rising up is like, it's hard to put vibrations into words, but it feels to me, and now I'm here and I'm doing the thing from here and I'm at my next level and this is who I am. You can even think into the Amanda 5 years from now, what does she know? What has she learned? And can I speed up time? Can I collapse time? Can I make this whole thing go faster by bringing the feelings, the knowledge, and the awareness of the future Amanda into my current experience? Does that make sense? Okay, I consciously get working hard struggle isn't necessary, yet subconsciously my parents ingrained hard work to have something in everything they said I did. How do we break the cycle? Well, we were all raised that way, whether our parents said it or not. That is like a very America belief, especially like a middle class belief. So how do you break it? For me, when I need to like reframe an idea, I get out my journal and I go, is this ultimately true? Is it ultimately true that hard work is the only way? And I look at it and I'm like, fuck, that's not ultimately true. And I'm like, well, what's more true? What's more true is there's plenty of examples of people in the world who worked smarter, who had a great idea, who found a way to do the things they love that didn't feel like work. In my personal business, there's a lot of work to be done, but I delegate the things that feel like the hard work, and I try to stay in my genius of doing the parts I really love to do, right? And this weird thing has happened. You might have heard me say this before, but this weird thing has happened where I had this story that there was all these things in my business that only I could do because I'm Amanda Francis. And it has become very obvious that none of that was all completely made up. Like I said, but I'm the only one who can do trainings. But now I have the All the Things membership where my team does the trainings too. We all do the trainings. No one can write email like me. And while I still think my emails are excellent, and I still do the majority of writing them, I have like let other people write the outline, write the base of them, and I still edit them and make them Amanda Francis E, but it just wasn't true that I was the only one that could write, or I was the only one that could teach, or I was the only one that could do the social media. Bondi, who's on the call, does the vast majority of my social media, and I write it all, but she's repurposing it all over the place, which used to be my job, and it's not my job anymore, thank God. So I love that in my business, I bootstrapped it and I figured it out myself and I did it all my way, and I've done every job that someone in my company has now, I've done at some point. Like I like it. I like it. It felt good to me to do it all myself and figure it all out. But did it sometimes make things harder than they needed to be? And was it required? Probably fucking not. Yeah, there was a million times, including this very moment, present day, right here as I sit before you. There are opportunities in my life and business right now where I'm making it harder than it needs to be, where I'm still struggling around like, but this needs to be done and that needs to be done and that needs to be done. And I'm like, I'll forget to delegate the things, something that needs to be done, and then I'll do it last minute, and then I'll be like stressed, and like, I am still the reason things are hard when they're hard. And that's just the truth I think we all have to own. You know, when something's hard, we've chosen into a vibration, a frequency, and energy of struggle, and it wasn't fucking required. So you guys have maybe seen my post on Facebook's about Relaxed Amanda, like what Relaxed Amanda does. Relaxed Amanda went to Disney World on Sunday. Relaxed Amanda laid on a blanket in the park today. Relaxed Amanda goes to the beach, not to get her 10,000 steps in, but she goes to the beach to sit on it. So there's this whole thing with what would Relaxed Amanda do? And that's just my like, what does Beyonce have? Sasha Fierce? That's my Sasha Fierce of learning to be more relaxed, right? So when I sit with Relaxed Amanda, like today I was making some business decisions and I was like, what would Relaxed Amanda do? And there were just easy, obvious solutions of the highest good that didn't require me to work hard or freak out or be frantic. And I'm a work in progress. I'm not living as Relaxed Amanda 100% of my time. Anyone who works for me can tell you. But I'm integrating Relaxed Amanda more and more. But this is good. This is actually important. Do you know how I came up with Relaxed Amanda? I wrote this in a post, but just in case you guys didn't see it. I came up with Relaxed Amanda because I was doing a future meditation, like envisioning. So the way the meditation starts is you're waking up early and it is the most important day of your life. Where are you? and you like see who's in the room with you, and it's like, what are you doing this day? And it's like, what are you wearing? And you just see the future version of your life. And I've done so many, what does the Amanda 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what would she do about this legal situation, this person copying, this like whatever it is, what would she do? I do that all the time, but this was like kind of a different version of it, because you're just like letting your mind run free of like, you're waking up and it's the most important day of your life and where are you going? So anyway, I did that meditation, and then when I got to the part of how is the person I saw on the most important day of her life, how is she different from the me sitting here right now? And she was relaxed. She was chill. She was trusting. The amount of space God took up in her being was 10,000-fold what I have now. And I think I have a really good relationship with the divine. But the amount of trust she had with God to guide her to doing all the things was insane. And I was very aware in the vision that I wasn't the one running the company. Like, I was running the company, but my team was fully running the online portion of my company, and I fully trusted them to do that. I was not frantic around business at all in the vision. It was like, well, of course the online thing's happening and it's making all the money. I need to go get in this car to go be on Alan's show, you know, or like my other projects I had going in the vision, you know, and like, all these things were different. I'm not going to go into it more right now. But like, well, I'll go into it a little bit. Like, I always envisioned that I would need like 3 nannies because I'm running a company and I'm not going to slow down, so there'll need to be nannies everywhere. So in the vision of the most important day of my life, I wake up and my super hot husband's asleep in bed, and I'm putting on my jeans, and like I'm fit as fuck, and I have like a great outfit and great shoes and like, you know, all the things obviously. But like, I walk into the living room and my best friend, this isn't a friend I know at this time, but my best friend's in the living room, and she's like, don't worry, the car is here waiting. I'll take the kids to school. And it was like, when I woke up for the meditation, I was like, what? I normally take the kids to school? That's not how I would thought it would be. So it was like, there was this whole thing where in the vision, I had so much more groundedness. I had so much more wanting to be at home, wanting to be with a family. I had all this trust and certainty and not an overinflated something to prove certainty, a very chill, real, calm certainty in this vision. I was relaxed as fuck. So I was like, well, if I'm going to speed up my future and get where I'm going, that's when I started doing what would a relaxed Amanda do from here. And relaxed Amanda just has all these different ideas about everything. She's like, sit down on the goddamn beach. No need for 10,000 more stops today. It was a different vision than I would have thought I wanted, and it was so much better than what I thought I wanted, and it felt so good. So that's what I mean about tapping into the future version of myself. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. And my friend Danielle, who encouraged me to do the meditation, she was like, it's interesting that your vision was everything you've been running from your entire life. And I was like, fuck off. But it was really true. It was all the things that I've been running from by being like a self-made woman, making sure like I could stand on my own 2 feet and I would never be like dependent on a man. And in the vision, it was very fucking weird because I felt like very supported in my life, and my business was doing great, but I was very supportive of my husband and family. And I was like, what is this? Anyway, but it was like a perfect combination of all the things I've built and all the things my heart desires. It was perfect, right? Okay, so didn't plan on talking about that, but here we are. Oh, did I talk about disproving things? So I look at the idea. In order for Amanda Francis to make $250,000 a month, here's a ridiculous idea. In order for Amanda Francis to make $250,000 a month, I have to struggle over launches. That's insane. Launching gets to be easy. Launching gets to be flowy. Launching gets to be a natural part of my life. My team gets to do more and more with the launches. I get to be freed up. It's not an ultimate truth that I have to launch 3 times a month or twice a month or any amount of time to make a certain amount of money. Like what I've learned for sure, and this wasn't intended to be a money talk, but it's me, so I'm going to talk about money. What I know for sure is that I always make, earn, and receive the amount of money I'm an energetic match for, period, no matter what I've launched that month. Launching and sharing and selling content is just something I can energetically get behind. It's just something that I believe in making money through. I have practice at it and I'm good at it, and I've built my confidence and faith around earning that way, right? But is that the end all be all way for someone to make money through a business? No fucking way. That's ridiculous. So there's been months where I was like, we're not doing another launch this month. It's just not what's aligned. And on the last day of the month, someone does like a $50,000 pay in full for 6 months of private coaching or something. And I hit my $250,000 monthly goal again. It's like no matter, and I've done this with so many different numbers over the years. Back when the goal was $3,000 a month, it was the same fucking thing. I managed to always make the amount of money I was a match for. My, if you're in the money course, you've heard me say my energetic minimum. I never fall below my energetic minimum standard ever. But the idea that I would have to do something that feels like a struggle that I don't want to do to hit my goal would not be true. So my work is always, anytime an idea or a belief doesn't feel true, I write it down or I look at it or whatever and I ask myself if it's true, and it's never fucking true, and I choose to tell a new story. What would be more true than this? And if what would be more true than this doesn't make sense to you, what would feel better than this? We're making up our own rules for life and how things work, right? Like the universe is responding to us, right? Because of our free will, we can't be given anything we don't believe we can have. So everything is always just responding to us. Hence, if I think I need haters to rise up, I'm going to manifest haters when it's time to go to the next level. That's boring and annoying, and I'm not doing it ever again, right? So, not that every time you see me have haters, it might mean that I think there will be some amount of that just being a public whatever, having an online persona and public figureness. But I'm not going to use it in the way I've always used it, which will mean it won't be needed anymore, which means it will change for me, right? But that was a pattern I created over time. How do you maintain that type of vibration energy when you feel like a situation, decision, goal is out of your control? Well, you don't, because you're a human being. So here's what it's like to be a human being. You feel the good feelings, you believe them, you lock them in, you're like, yes, I got this. And the next day you wake up feeling like shit and you have to choose again. You do it again. But what happens is as you choose again, you get practice at shifting. And it gets easier and easier and easier to shift into new thoughts, ideas, and vibrations because you have more and more practice. Does that make sense? So I could tell you guys all of this right now about how I'm not a victim and hate, it's not just that haters can't hurt me, but haters were irrelevant all along. They were never needed. They were never required. I just get to be fabulous anyway. I'm disregarding all the hater vibes, but I could wake up tomorrow, see something shitty on the internet, and I probably won't now that I don't need it, now that I'm not using it to feed something. But I could wake up tomorrow, see something hateful on the internet, and I could feel like shit for hours or days or whatever until I decided to choose again, until I changed it again. Right? And that will always be the work. But it gets easier to maintain because you get practice at shifting. So with money, I feel great about money the vast majority of the time. So every time I feel weird about spending or every time I have some lack-based vibe or thought around money, I notice it right away because my baseline around money is fabulous most of the time. So when it when it feels not fabulous, I recognize it right away. Does that make sense? But there was obviously years and time and space of feeling better and better and better about money until money got to be something I feel mostly always good about. I'm sure you can imagine this. Maybe it's that you have a great relationship with one of your children and you can't imagine it not being fabulous. Or you have a great relationship with a parent or a partner, or you have something in your life that just always works out, right? And it just always works out for you, so you can't really imagine it not working out. And if for a moment you felt the feelings of it not working out, you'd be like, whoa, where is that coming from? That's not what I want. And you would go do whatever you need to do in that relationship to adjust that, right? Because the relationship is valuable to you. It's the same vibe. Does that make sense? I try to see myself getting paid a certain amount every month. Is that what you mean by becoming a vibrational match? It's less about what you see, what you vision, and more about what you feel. So if seeing the vision helps you feel it, then that's great. But vibration is more the feelings you feel and hold in your body. So I often say around money, when someone's like, I can't feel the feelings of the dollar amount I want, I'm like, well, how would you feel if I walked up to you and handed you a check for that amount? And then all this stuff comes up. I don't deserve it. Who are you to give me that? I don't understand. I'm like, well, those are all your limiting beliefs to work through. But once you have worked through them, if those limiting beliefs didn't exist anymore, how would you feel to receive that check and feel the feelings of receiving that amount of money? And that's the feeling of receiving that amount of money. The feeling of having that amount of money is the feeling of, so there's a difference between receiving money and having money. So, but it's all vibrational matches. And I could go on about this forever. I have a whole masterclass on this, like a high-level masterclass. But the feeling of what I believe I can receive and the feeling of what I believe I can have, keep, maintain in the bank is often different. A lot of people will make money, but don't feel safe having money and don't allow themselves to keep money. And so then every time they manifest money, they will manifest expenses, right? And that's the exact same way. We all have a vibrational amount we are aligned with debt, like an amount we're willing to tolerate around debt, right? And so for years, I was making a lot of money and I still had credit card debt, and it wasn't really like a problem until I decided I didn't like it anymore. And I was like, what if I could have money in the bank, a lot of cash flowing in, and no debt? And I started feeling into that and decided that was a desire of my life. And then I created that. Now I have no credit card debt. Is this not making sense? But it's all vibrations. I can't go into the scope of every nuance of money inside this training, but are you getting the general idea? How long does it take once you become a vibrational match? So manifestation isn't linear. Okay, now we're getting metaphysical because time isn't real. So I can't tell you the amount of time it takes. I can tell you it will always add up and overflow into your physical reality, and your job is to stay a match for it until it does, and to not quit 5 minutes before the miracle. Typically when people are about to give up is when it's about to happen. And it can be instantly. Like, people sign up for the money course and have like miracles overnight before they even start the content all the time because they believe in the power of the money course, so they sign up expecting. That's all it is it's still our faith and what we believe we can have. So what does relaxed Amanda do about haters and hate groups? Relaxed Amanda doesn't fucking care about haters and hate groups because she's relaxed. When it is necessary, and we can talk about this in the next 2 calls, when it is required to do something, when the situation feels like it warrants it, what it is now is that there's policies and procedures. Well, this is a good segue into, okay. This is a good segue. Okay, so I have this course called Queen of Hearts, and enrollment actually opens today. And I haven't announced it anywhere yet. But Queen of Hearts is opening for the year today. And one of my favorite things about Queen of Hearts is one of the bonuses is all the emails we use in my business. Like the email scripts we use for late payments, the 3 different email templates we use when people are copying or ripping off my work. So the answer is you are able to, you stay relaxed, and part of staying relaxed is you have systems, procedures, and processes of how to handle the things. So the 3 different templates on how to handle people copying all vary from like, hey, it's Amanda, I noticed that you created this and it sounds a lot like this and I'm wondering if whatever, to like, this is copyright infringement. You're infringing on my intellectual property. And so there's levels, systems, and layers, and I've always been the decider of which email needs to go out in which situation. And relaxed Amanda, we're still going to use the same scripts that I've created with different attorneys over time, but relaxed Amanda isn't going to be the one making the decision anymore. I added an attorney like to the team, like she's part of the team now, and the attorney will decide which letter, either cease or desisting or just asking someone to change something, which letter goes out. So now instead of me making the decision, the new part of the procedure is someone else even decides, and it's someone I know, like, and trust because she's one of my best friends. Having a best friend who's an attorney is never a bad idea. Okay, I love you guys. That was super fun, and I'm proud of you guys, and thank you for hanging out with me. I will see you all soon. Bye.